I grew up in East San Jose, California. It's not a city on itself, unlike South San Francisco. That's a city. East San Jose is part of San Jose. It is known for many great things. It's known for its diverse food. It's also known for its cultural representation for the Mexican lifestyle. I'm proud to say that in certain parts of East San Jose, there are taco trucks at every corner. But it is also known for the not-so-nice part of the city. Crime, sadly, is higher at that part of the city. There are lots of different type of people from different backgrounds who live in East San Jose. I, for example, was born in Mexico, and because of that, I felt very comfortable when we immigrated to East San Jose. I felt very comfortable there simply because there were lots of people like me. Naturally, I thought it was like that everywhere. Boy, was I wrong. But one thing that stood out was that everyone had each other's back. That's one thing that I really noticed from the get. It seemed natural to take care of one another. In our neighborhood, once we were accepted, once the taco truck became a fixture in our driveway, it seemed everybody had our back. This is 10,000 Tacos. I'm Isidro Salas, and welcome to the show. 10,000 Tacos is a podcast about growing up in a taco truck that produced a truckload of tacos, and in doing so, helped shape the life of my siblings and the life that I live today. It is also a podcast that pays tribute to a pair of taqueros. Those taqueros are my parents. Thank you for being here today. I don't know if I ever told you, but I was a criminal justice major. I actually received my Bachelor's of Science degree in Criminal Justice Administration from San Jose State University. I wanted to be a cop. In the fall of 1996, I was sitting in class. This class was called Crime and Societal Factors. We were discussing why crime was simply more prevalent in different parts of the South Bay, which is where San Jose is at. Just in case you were looking at a map of the San Francisco Bay Area, San Jose sits at the South Bay of that part. That's why it's called the South Bay. But anyway, as I mentioned earlier, crime was usually higher in East San Jose. So on this day, this dude abruptly says out loud, "The reason why crime is so high in East San Jose is because those people don't have neighborhood watch programs like the ones in Los Gatos. The fact is, those people don't care about their neighborhood and therefore do not care about themselves." Yeah, that's how he sounded. So just take a guess what he looked like. I'll give you a second. All right, time's up. This mother FACO, and if you're not familiar with the term FACO, please go back to previous episodes and figure out what it means. FACO. But this mother FACO, I think to myself, has no freaking clue. He'll probably become mayor of the city one day. People like him usually do. But I couldn't help myself. So I said the following. We do have neighborhood watch in our neighborhood. We watch out for the cops, especially the cops that come from your side of town. The class erupts in laughter. Now, the professor, he stepped in, quiets the class, and asked me to say more. Well, I tell him that the dude and the people like him don't know the streets of East San Jose the way I know them. And that the problem is really that they just generalize that all people from East San Jose, that they are all bad. And that is the problem. And then I proceed to tell him the following story. I once got slapped by a huge Samoan at the Overfelt swimming pool. Overfelt High School was and continues to be one of those very popular schools in East San Jose. On this summer day, I was in a popping battle with another person who had snuck into the pool that day. There was quite a few of us. Actually, maybe around 50 of us that snuck into the pool on that summer day. Now, the best way to describe popping is this sort of movement that, if you can imagine a force of energy going through your body, causing it to move like a wave, and then you do a routine behind that. That's what popping is, or was. Don't know if they still do it. I think they do. It was the predecessor to breakdancing, I think. But anyway, we were going back and forth with these popping moves. He would do something cool, right? And then I'd counter that move, and I'd do something just as cool, if not better. And the crowd was loving it. Now, he was hella bigger than me. I was probably about 11, 12 years old, and from what I remember, I was under 5 feet tall back then. He, on the other hand, was about like 6 feet, and maybe I'm exaggerating, but he was definitely taller than me, and he had a very muscular build. If I had to guess, he was probably in his late teens. Towards the end of my last move, my finale, if you will, I noticed most of the crowd was at awe at most of my moves. I was clearly winning. But that wasn't enough for me. I had to go out in grand style. I had to finish strong. That's what was going through my head. So I decided to finish my grand move with a middle finger to his face. Yeah. Everyone was like, ooh, wow, yeah. To me, it was fabulous. And so I thought we were done. But no. This Samoan dude had to get the last move. And the crowd had not even stopped cheering for me when all of a sudden he starts making a quick move. He slides his right leg and his right foot to the front of my little body, and all of a sudden, whack! That's where I got slapped. It freaking hurt. I mean, not so much the physical part, though that did hurt. What hurt the most was in the inside of my chest. To be more specific, my feelings. That someone would physically pay me back for humiliating him. I didn't think that was fair, but in the world that I grew up in, the rules were not fair. And understanding that and accepting that fact was part of the game. A few years later, while kicking back in the carport of my next door neighbor's house, the same Samoan showed up. He was there to score some weed. We both looked at one another and we recognized one another. But this time, the Samoan dude had a look of fear. My neighbor noticed this. He, after all, was a drug dealer, and paranoia was part of the job description. His spidey sense told him there was something with that look. My neighbor asked me, "Do you know this dude?" And I say, "Yeah, I know this guy." Again, my neighbor, with this look of concern, does this, My neighbor, Nuno, then turns to the Samoan and asks him, "Where do you know this vato from?" The Samoan pauses. He swallows what's in his throat. That look of concern gets greater. "We popped against each other back in the day," he says. Nuno puts his right hand on his chin, begins to rub it, and his left hand over his right elbow, as a curious reporter and starts doing the math. And that's where the look of concern made sense to me. The Samoan knew he could not lie to Nuno. Nuno was, let's just say, a captain. He ran the territory we lived in, and what he said usually went the way he wanted it to go. He had a lot of power. This Samoan knew deep inside he had slapped the wrong guy. Nuno then asked if this popping match took place at the overfilled pool a couple of summers ago. The Samoan could not lie. You see, there are rules in the streets, and one of those rules is not to lie to the wrong guy. And this guy, the Samoan, knew those rules. Samoan dude puts his head down and knew at that point he had to meet his fate. He says, "Yes, that was me." Nuno gets up from his chair, takes a final puff of his stick, and with no notice at all, clocks the Samoan right in the jaw. As I'm finishing the story to my professor, all the while staring at this FACO, I tell him that these so-called programs they tout as one-stop shop for solving complex problems is the problem. In short, you'd be asking me to turn my back on my friends. Yes, Nuno was dealing drugs, and yes, he punched people, allegedly. But for all their checkered past and rap sheets, these guys protected us. They protected the taco truck. To me, that's one of the reasons why tacos have two tortillas. It's because one backs up the other. In essence, the extra tortilla has the tacos back. I'm the proud son of a taquero, and this is 10,000 Tacos.